Welcome to Dubbzi Bricks for another episode of Building the Tantive in Lego. And first of all, I'd like to welcome all the new members to the channel. Really do appreciate all of the memberships that people have signed up for. It really does help with the cost of these massive builds. They are expensive, so I really do appreciate all of the support. And I appreciate everybody that watches the video, gives it a like, shares it, drops me a comment. I do read every single comment and I take all of them on board. So thank you so much. In the last video, somebody did comment about the way that I'm building these engine sections just here, and it has cropped up before, asking why am I using so many pieces when I could get away with just using Technic. And there's a couple of reasons for this. I've only been mock building a couple of years, and this is the first build that I've made like this. So I'm using techniques I'm happy with, I'm familiar with. That doesn't mean to say it is the best way, and I'm always open to learning new things and experimenting with these things. So I will be doing that with this here, and I will experiment with one of these four engines here using less bricks and more Technic. And I will start off this update by doing so. If I can reduce the weight significantly, then I'm more than happy to go back and change these four over again if it's going to help the build. As you can see here, these two sections are coming apart, so I do need to do a little bit of work on that, put a Technic pin at the bottom there and connect it to the frame at the top. So there are a couple of things that I do need to sort out on here. The centre part I'm not changing. They are going to be brick built, and that's so that I know that I've got the strength in there to hold the engine and that it slides in and out nice and smoothly at convention. So I'm still going to have all of the weight there. The side panels here, they're going to be staying the same. They have to be 4 plates deep so that when they connect to the snot brick, which is 2 studs back, so it's on the third one here, once I tile this off, it's flush with the bricks and plates on the side here. That again has to stay that way. So it's whether or not I can connect these parts here and have it so that there's Technic beams underneath the snot bricks, then that'll be fine. But what I don't want to happen is for this to give way when I'm pushing against it. As it is at the moment, there's so many connection points, it's really sturdy. So yeah, I don't know whether or not, obviously I'm going to have a row of bricks under here, row under here. So I'm going to be losing probably 2 or 3 rows of bricks every 4 rows, I think it is. So yeah, there will be a lot of bricks saved, which can be utilised elsewhere in the mock. So we will experiment and just see how we go on. But anyway, plan this update is to get all 11 engines all together on this structure here, with all 11 engine sections on the back here removable. That's where we want to get to, and also sort out the problem with the sagging on the engines. Since I worked on this last, I have propped it up using some plates on the side and bricks. And there were some good suggestions in the last update about how I go about supporting them, whether I put some extensions out from the stand there at an angle to help prop it up was one of them. Somebody did suggest having extra feet, which I don't really want to do. I want it to be the display stand to be as hidden as possible inside. Somebody else also suggested putting a lift arm or Technic brick going across here diagonally. However, I do have the channel in the centre there for the engine, so realistically the only place I could do it from would be here to going across to about there, which again, it may help pull it up. We'll certainly experiment with that as well. But yeah, lots of things to trial in this update. Yeah, looking forward to it. But first things first, what we need to do is move this section to somewhere else in the Lego room, and I have no idea where, as I'm running out of room rapidly, and then we can make a start on the engines. And we've managed to make a space for the work today, and we're going to start off by removing these 3 engines here. These parts here are pretty much done. I just need to tweak the end section just down the bottom there, so they're the same as these ones here. So I can put the tiles on, and then they'll be able to slide in and out of the engine mounts just there. Now, once I've removed these engines from here, the top section, this framework here, is how it needs to be. It's the same as the one that's on there, so that's all good. And then we can just amend the top engines there. So whether or not we go for the same technique as we've done there, or if we can find a solution to the walls here to reduce the bricks, then we just got to work out how we're going about doing so. So anyway, that's enough talking. Let's get these engines off of the bottom of here, and then let's make the amendments. And this complete eyesore is the new technique that we're experimenting with for the engine housing. And I think it is possibly the best way to go forward. It is obviously going to be considerably lighter when you look at the amount of holes in here due to using the 1x1 bricks as opposed to the 4x1. 11 engines, all that extra bricks saved is going to make it that much lighter. It is nowhere near as strong. These parts here could very easily be knocked out of place due to there's fewer connection points on there. There are Technic beams or lift arms going on the inside of here, so that is a positive. That's helping to keep everything clipped to the actual frame below, so there's no chance of these falling off over time due to the weight of them. So that again is a positive. Somebody did suggest in the previous video in the comments to put a lift arm going from here diagonally, from here diagonally to the framework to help keep this all square to stop it sagging. However, there's no room inside for me to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is go over to another suggestion, which was to actually build something from the framework here, from the display stand at a 45-degree angle, almost like a brace to help support that. So I think that's the way that I will potentially go. Again, I'm not going to do it just yet. It is something that I will be able to add further down the line with very little disruption. Because I've got this Technic brick here and the holes I've got on the side there, I would very easily be able to do that. So yeah, we won't worry about doing it just yet. If when I'm going through this I see an opportunity, I think actually, do you know what, this isn't the perfect solution, then obviously I would do so. But I don't really fancy stripping this all apart just to put something on there that I may not need. I'm still hopeful that once I've built all the walls around the edge of this, it is going to help to strengthen it all up. And also with the saved weight that we've done on here, again, the problem may very well be solved. But yeah, now what we've got to do is turn our attention to the other three engines on the lower section, as I did decide to do it on the lower section rather than on the top. Thought I might as well just go straight for it on here. It's not a quick process. It is quite fiddly, especially when you're trying to build around something you've already built. But yeah, we will get there. And that's all four engines changed over to the new Technic, and this has taken forever. And I don't know whether if it was worthwhile doing in the long end, basically. Yes, it is lighter, but the amount of time I've just wasted, or not wasted, I've taken doing this has been a lot longer than I was expecting. So yeah, it's hopefully due to the fact there are a lot of holes in the walls on these now, that it's going to be, the weight is going to help with the drooping. I'm praying that's the case because of the amount of time I've spent changing these over, when I could have been cracking on with sort of like the other engines below and everything. So yeah, fingers crossed. The thing is with these centre engines, the support legs, display stand, they were taking all the weight of these two centre engines anyway. So really, I could have left these ones as they were. I think I wasted a lot of time on these, and especially because you've got the display stand in the way, it's really fiddly getting your hand in between the two to get them done. So yeah, it's done now. That's the main thing. What we're going to be turning our attention to now is the cover that goes over these two parts here on all four engines, and I've got to work out how I'm going to go about attaching them onto it. I want to have it so you've got the studs facing up here. The back, you've got anti-studs on the back walls there, so it's probably easier for me just to plate that off and just tile it with the inverted tiles. I think that's possibly going to be the best solution, but we'll have a look, see what we can come up with. My biggest concern is the gap to the side of the display stand just here, as I can't really see anywhere on here that I can fit a connection point onto. And again, in hindsight, had I been better at forward planning, I could have put some Technic holes in the display stand. Then I could have had a plate that you can get which has got a Technic connection on the bottom of it. I could have had loads of those going down there and then plated on top of it. But again, if I want to go about doing that, it means destroying this entire display stand. So yeah, I don't really want to do that. Then this is really starting to show how my lack of planning in a Lego mock really is coming back to bite me. So I am learning so much on this build. It's frustrating in some ways. Yeah, we are learning a lot with this. Anyway, that's enough talking. Let's try and find a solution for putting the panels on. And I think I found a solution straight away for the panel here, and it's using these hinge pieces here, and these are the same parts that we're going to be using on the surrounds for the engine and a lot of the fuselage as well. So it enabled me to just bend that at the correct angle so it's resting on the top here. So I'll be putting a 4x8 plate above these hinges here and then here to give it some super strength on there, and then we'll be plating over the very top of all of it. And I've worked out it just about touches that, so it does look like it's going to be spot on. Now there is a very small gap along the top there, however we have got some of the door rail pieces, so I will be putting those along there and then that'll fill the gap in, so hopefully you won't be able to see any of that ugly filler brick. And that was considerably easier than I was expecting, and it's on there really well. It's very sturdy, and I've got 6 hinge pieces on the bottom here, and there's I think 6 on the top, and it's worked out perfectly distance wise. It doesn't seem to be any strain on the plates at all. I'm hoping there's enough strength in here so that when I start tiling and pushing down it doesn't break. In places it is 3 plates thick, so fingers crossed that will do the trick. I was hoping to do all of the engines, all of the plating off on here. However, the one problem that I do have is I am getting very low on white plate. And although I could cover it with multicoloured plates, as the majority of it's going to be tiled, I don't have the problem where if you can see through between a couple of bits of greebling, for example, you see a random colour. So I will hold fire on doing anything further with the covering of the tops. I am going to put the side panels on all the engines here so that it's got the strength in there, and then we flip it up and start working on the next level up. The good thing is I can just stand this up on its ends and then just work at it easily enough, so it's not a case of struggling to get to this part of the build once we've done more work on it. So anyway, let's get the side panels all on, and then we'll flip it up the other way and make a start on the centre section. And I feel like we're making some progress here. The section just here, I feel like it has been pulled up sufficiently now, and I haven't even connected the Technic inside here to pull it more towards the centre. I will do that just to give it that little bit extra. But to show you how much it's improved, an 8Y brick before would stay in there nice and firmly, whereas now it drops out. So the gap is actually 8 studs wide, so that is absolutely brilliant. Loving that. The wall section here, it was at one stage, it kept popping up, and it was purely due to this section here going down and it was just pulling on it. However, the further I went across, the less it was happening. There is still one part just there, which is a fraction up. However, I think once I've built this side as well, it's all just going to be absolutely perfect, especially when you have the bricks on the top and the weight of the engines on the top. It's all, the gravity's going to help to pull all of this together, I think, or I'm pretty confident it will. I haven't checked the back there yet to see what the gap's like at the back, where like the opposite end to like this section just here, and this part here I had to rip off of the bottom of the engine, as the amount of pieces I dropped through here was ridiculous and it was just rattling around. I thought I just need to get those parts out, so I've pulled that off. So I am going to have to flip this back over in a little bit and put that back on there. But yeah, really happy with how this is coming along. And it's starting to feel very satisfying seeing the white wall go at the back. The one problem I am having is I am running out of white brick rapidly. It's amazing how quickly you get through it. When I was filling up the boxes when I was at the pick a brick wall, I was there trying to think, wow, that should do that much, that'll do that much. And I honestly thought I'd had enough to do this part. However, I've obviously totally misjudged it. But hey ho, these things happen. I'm back up in Blanchardstown in about 10 days time, so hopefully Shane or Sive will be able to find some in the stock room and I'll be able to get a few more boxes of those white bricks. But we'll carry on working on this and get as much of it done as we possibly can, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to at least get all of the housing units all ready and the engine stuck in the back of there. But yeah, it's really nice to see how this come together. Now with the engines on the side, the sagging is starting to look less and less all the time. The more bricks that go on, the more everything is being pulled into position. So fingers crossed we have actually got that all sorted, but time will tell. And things are getting a little bit more positive. We found another connection point on here just at the back there, and what's happening is the bricks that were above here, above the plate, were coming detached from this section. Now these plates here should have been squeezed in between these bricks and the Technic beams below, but for some reason it was just a little bit of a pop on there. So I've put a brick in here which is too deep, then a Technic brick above it, and that's crushing that all together. And it's now made the engines here sag 0. It's absolutely perfect. So I can slide an 8Y brick in the front bit here and the back all the problems have been solved. So it's such a relief. Obviously, we haven't got the engines in there at the very back yet. So hopefully when we put the added weight, because they are heavy, on there, it's not going to sort of like start having a detrimental effect to it. So yeah, hopefully we have got that all sorted. And we had just about enough white bricks to do the front section along here. So I now need to go sorting through my Lego bricks and trying to find some more white ones out. I'm sure I have got a load more. But yeah, I think I will have to buy a box or two from the Lego store next time I'm up and doubling. Now on the inside here, this is changing quite a bit compared with how I originally designed it. Before I had all of the 2x2 bricks in here, and then I had some of these Technic beams, the centre engines, they were obviously built into all of the framework there. That's all now changed, and I think this is going to be a much stronger version of this. Now one thing I may very well do is I might strip a few of these bricks back here and then bring some more support into the centre here. So if I build a support beam up here, I'll attach the wall to it. I think that might work a little bit better just to help with the strength side of it. Now there'll be a row of plates going along the top of this, and then we'll stick the next Technic frame on top, and then we'll connect all of it together. So we'll put some more of these lift arms in here, which will connect the top bit to these parts here, and that should give it all the strength that it needs. The part in here, really all I need is some strength on that section just there, and just there as well where the engine's going to be. The parts either side, there's not really that much going on there, so it doesn't need to have super support within it. But yeah, really happy with how this is all progressing along. It feels like I have done pretty much an entire rebuild in this update. Due to the brick reduction on the engine housings, that was pretty much rebuilding it. We've then redone the centre section here for the engine, so it has been quite a bit of change. And obviously the engines themselves, we had to change 7 of those over to the new technique where they slide in and out. But anyway, let's rotate this round, and then I'll stick the 7 engines in and see how it looks. And here we have 7 of the 11 engines all in place, and it's looking good in the sense that I can easily fit an 8 wide brick in the gap just there and just there. So there's no sagging, or it doesn't appear to be at the moment. Obviously these engines have only been in for a couple of minutes, so I'm going to leave them in overnight, come back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll still have it looking in the same position as it is at the moment. So yeah, positive signs, and I'm feeling pretty good about it at the moment. Now, there are so many details that I need to work out how I'm going to go about doing so with this. I feel like I'm really showing that this is the first time I've built a large-scale vehicle like this. My forward planning is pretty much non-existent. That's how it feels. There are supposed to be some grey panels that come out along here, and that happens on, I think, either side of the engines. Now, I'm not worried about the ones in the middle here, as you're not really going to see them, so if I miss those out, it's not a big deal. I do want to have them obviously on these engines here, that's a must, and again the same on the bottom 4 there. Now I could take some of these white bricks out here and put some grey bricks coming out and then build off of them. However, it's then leading to it being potentially fragile. Now the other option I have got, and I think this might work out best, is to actually attach them to the studs on the side here. They do overlap, so that would work out pretty much how it should look, I think. And again, I've got the snot bricks on the side there as well. So everywhere where I want to put one, I could easily do so. The advantage of also doing it that way is the back of this will then remain flat, which would be very handy, because if I ever do need to do any work inside or underneath, I can just tilt it onto the back and there's no problem at all. The front is obviously smaller because the parts there are narrower, so it wouldn't balance as easily. So yeah, if I can find a way of attaching those grey parts to those side bits there, then that is definitely the way I think I would like to go forward with it. Now with this build, I know I am redoing things over and over again. Like with this structure here, it's been pretty much, as I said, a rebuild from before. However, I'm learning from the mistakes. It's only after I built something I discover there is a better way of doing it, or somebody might pop a suggestion in the comments, which really helps. Next time I do a large scale vehicle, it'll be a lot smoother. Hopefully in the next update, I will finally get the top section on. I really want to get all 11 engines all in place. That is the aim, because once we've done that, we can then start working on the other details around it. So yeah, that would be good. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building the Tantive in Lego, if you can share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for popping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.